15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
This is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Repeat, this is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways.
Do not panic. Do not panic. We've got the quirky films for your quarantine blues. Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
I don't know how long people are going to be able to continue to stand this.
Which this are we talking about, hon? The quarantine, the upcoming election kerfuffles, the heat wave?
Yes.
Great.
They all go into one, don't they? Welcome to Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I am Kim Brown.
Back again with more bad movies for your coronavirus quarantine pleasure. Quarantines are being lifted all over the country. They probably shouldn't be. And please, whenever you're going outside, don't be an idiot. Wear a mask, okay?
Wear a mask.
If you don't wear a mask, you're an asshole. Anyway, how's that? Okay, let's move on.
Tactless yet rude.
And accurate.
And accurate.
Anyway,
yeah, wear a mask, social distance, and call your grandma.
Oh, for Pete's sake. You know, if Moxley knew about you stealing that every show we do, he'd probably want royalties. Please stop. Well, anyway.
As long as he doesn't hit me, because that would probably hurt. Hey, John.
Yeah. And right now himself, just getting out of quarantine because his wife had coronavirus last couple weeks ago. Anyway, we're diving back into this with the first of a trilogy of movies that we're not going to do all of, I don't think, but it all is part of what is known as the Puerto Rico Trilogy from director and producer Roger Corman. I assume that means they were all filmed there.
A name that can strike fear into the heart of most moviegoers.
It's not Coleman Francis. Or worse yet, Tommy Wiseau. Anyway, 1960s Last Woman on Earth, yes. Starring Betsy Jones Moreland as the title character, yes. Anthony Carbone, and billed as Edward Wayne. In the movie, his real name is Robert Towne.
Yes.
You probably know that name from somewhere else.
Yes, and boy, when you find out, if you don't know,
I'm like, the man who was in this, oh, we'll get to that later. Yeah. Anyway, we saw this movie, and we're just like, God, why did we watch this movie?
Yeah, why did we watch this?
Because we were looking for bad movies.
Oh, yeah.
And we found it.
Oh, we did.
This was a terrible movie.
Yeah, because as we always say here on Captive Audience Theater,
if we have to suffer, you have to suffer. Give us a rundown on this.
In the footsteps of other films that are about the whole idea of what if so-and-so is the last person on planet Earth because of whatever happening, this film takes a different tact. We have an actual love triangle at the end of the world, as opposed to the restaurant at the end of the universe. The titular triangle involves Harold Gurn, who is a successful and exceedingly shady New York businessman, his wife Evelyn, who he married in between trials. Has the hate gone out of this marriage? And also joined in this little pleasure cruise with Martin Joyce, who is Harold's lawyer. Now, the reason they are all in Puerto Rico is because Harold's gotten himself in trouble with nasty old Uncle Sam again, and they're down here in between his legal problems, because apparently this guy's had more legal problems than Henry VIII had wives. So they're down on a boat, and they're going to go out and go scuba diving. And when they're out, they go out in the boat, splash in the water. Nobody gets eaten by a shark, because that would have actually been fun. But when they come up to the surface, something has gone, wait for it, terribly wrong.
Dun, dun, dun!
Yeah. The thing is, they get out of the water, and they take the scuba gear out of their mouths, and all of a sudden they can't breathe. They instantly have to put it back in. And they also find out that the person who was on the boat when they left, the gentleman that's running the boat, his name is Manuel, and he's dead. And apparently he has died from asphyxiation.
Shouldn't have done that.
Good one, babe.
Yep.
So they wind up rowing back to shore, and they head into the jungle, which is right there on the beach. I don't know very much about the topography of Puerto Rico, so I'm really sorry if that's not the right way to word it. The thing is, they still have the masks on and all that, the breathing apparatus, so they can breathe. Now, because they're back on land, they're around plants. Plants give off oxygen. They can breathe. So they head into town, and the town is full of dead people. There are dead bodies everywhere. People just dead in the streets, and I'm not using hyperbole here. We see corpses just in the streets, people behind the wheels of cars, people who were just walking down the street and dropped dead, including the dead body of a child. Thank you, movie.
Yeah, she had a hissy fit when that happened.
I'm like, okay, now I'm upset. So, and they can't get a hold of
Well, I think they were trying to convey that everybody is dead, not just the adults.
No, not
it's
just
everybody.
The adults. It apparently, Death, the Great Equalizer, has
equalized things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Big way.
In the fact that it seems like, and they can't get a hold of anybody on the radio. And they realize that they might actually be the last people on the entire planet Earth that are left alive. Now, considering the fact that Harold is a bit of a dick, and Evelyn's not much better, and Martin's a lawyer, and you pretty much can draw your own conclusions from that.
We got 3 headstrong people.
Yeah. You've got an asshole, a bitch, and a lawyer.
Now, watch your mouth, dear. Captain America would be very disappointed with your language.
The human race is doomed.
Well, we knew that already. Everybody dies eventually.
Not all at once, though.
No, true enough. So far, knock on wood.
They come to the conclusion that what has happened is the fact that while they were underwater, somehow for one blip of a time frame, all of the oxygen on the planet just went away, and then all came back. Okay. They also they have to fish to survive, and they find out that the fish were alive because they didn't have to row back to the island through scores of dead fish, because that would have smelled great.
Ew.
So apparently the fish in the ocean and the whales and all of the other things that are in the ocean that aren't fish, which are a lot of things. So yay, sea turtles are still alive, and things like that. They're still alive. They do find bugs and baby chicks and things that have probably the chicks probably hatched and such when the oxygen came back.
Mm-hmm. Well, it couldn't have been gone for very long, because they said somewhere in the movie that they were only underwater for less than 2 hours with the scuba tanks. So it couldn't have been very long.
Yeah.
And you could have asphyxiated everybody in 4 or 5 minutes. So, you know.
So now like we said, we've got 3 people who apparently seem to be the only people left alive on planet Earth. And that, you know, they're all, you know, the problem is that 2 of the people are men and 1 of them is a woman. You do the math. Because
2 and 1.
Well, yeah, but we all know that certain genders, looking hard at you, tend to be a little more possessive about people than other genders.
That's not true. It can be equally possessive on either gender's side.
Well, Harold is all like, well, Eve's, you know, my wife is my wife, so she's going to be with me, and that's just going to be, because her name is Evelyn, which can be shortened to Eve. Get it? I mean, wow. There's subtlety, and then there's just beating the audience over the head with a plot wrench. It's just, which is used to usually fix the plot device.
Hello.
So, you know, his whole thing is, well, I'm her husband, so she's my woman forever and ever, you know, and all that whole domineering, knuckle-dragging, Cro-Magnon crap that, you know, some men get into.
Enough social commentary.
Yep.
Finish the description of the movie.
I'm good with that. And Martin's all like, no, it's not quite going to work that way anymore because stuff has, you know, changed because, you know, the whole world's new rules. This is literally hitting the reset button got hit really effing hard. And Eve should be able to be with who she wants to be with. I'm like, so if y'all think you 3 are going to repopulate the whole world,
well, they think there might be survivors, or hoping there might be survivors elsewhere.
Elsewhere, yeah.
Not here, obviously.
Obviously not here, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. But the problem is, how do you find them? I mean, other than the fact that they know that they're going to eventually have to go to, you know, they plan on going to cooler climates, you know, to deal with, you know, food and stuff like that, and deal with, you know, people probably having freezers and things like that for food preservation and stuff like that. And when you literally think about that, they can just, you know, get in a car and drive somewhere if you were willing to drag the corpse out of the way.
Well, you can't really do that for very long.
What do you mean?
You're on an island.
Well, yeah, but an island that's got boats all over it.
Right. I know, but I understand. Okay, so you're going that way. All right, fine.
Yeah. But what I mean is that eventually they're gonna eventually have to go try and look around for more food and, you know, supplies and other people and stuff like that. And she just, Eve's whole thing is that she's like, don't I get a say in this? And that she basically tells Harold that she doesn't feel like she was ever his wife. She felt like she was something to him that was just something that he owned as a status symbol. And now she feels, ironically, at a point when most people, I think, would have the blue screen of death pop up in their brain, they just completely, like, probably zone out. She feels like for the first time in her adult life, she feels like she's free. I'm like, yay, on a mountain of dead bodies, good for you. So, as it turns out, Martin and Eve have actually known each other in the biblical sense. And Harold is all peeved off about that fact, and he and Martin wind up having a physical altercation because men don't have horns. Because I'm convinced that if men had horns, they would just be like big-horned sheep and run at each other all day long, so they'd have, you know, the whole thing of possessing the female and all that. I'm just convinced of that. Because his whole thing is, you raped my wife, and Eve's all like, no, he didn't. You know, he didn't drag me off kicking and screaming. I went with him willingly because you're an a-hole, Harold. And Harold is all like, Martin needs to leave, and he has 2 hours to do it. And Eve is all like, I have a say in this. And she's like, she wants to go with Martin. She's like, I won't go unless you ask me to go with you. And Martin's all like, yeah, I want you to come with me. And they wind up leaving together, and Harold's all pissed and chases after them in a boat. And then he and Martin get in another physical altercation, and Harold winds up killing Martin. So...
No big loss, actually.
Well, he's a lawyer, so,
No, Martin is the lawyer. Harold is the husband.
I know. Yeah, but
That's why I said Harold is no big loss. He's obviously doing all these crazy bad things in New York.
Well, yeah, but Harold's the businessman. Martin is the lawyer.
Right.
Yeah. So what's one more dead lawyer? It's a good start. No, I'm just sorry. That was a joke. So now, what the thing is, does that mean Eve's now stuck with this man she doesn't love?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it backwards. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway.
3-person love triangle, and never mind.
Well, maybe they'll learn to love each other, right?
Did you need to really kill the other guy to have that happen?
Well, it makes it easier if there's a competition.
Oh, sure, murder the other guy.
No. Circumstances.
All right. And so they wind up, Harold the victor holds his hand out to his wife, who, as far as we know, still hates him and just watched him murder the man she loves. And they head off to try and begin a new future together.
You're injecting your own emotions into that. We don't have any proof that she loved him. She made love with him. She doesn't necessarily love him.
She cared for him more than her husband.
At that time. But then she saw that Harold was willing to kill to keep her.
Okay.
Just saying.
Anyway.
Yeah.
This movie sucks. I'm sorry, this movie is just crap.
It is.
The thing about this film that we should probably give the cast. We did, yeah. But
that's the whole cast.
Yeah, that's it.
Except for Manuel, who was not listed on the cast list that we're looking at.
Okay, well, the thing is, I'm sorry, this is one of these films that tried so very hard to have a message. You could definitely tell that we were going for, not only are we trying to be a horror film or science fiction, actually more accurate, this is a science fiction film, that this is a film with a message, as to what the message is, other than people suck and will find a way to F stuff up even in the most, when you should be thinking about survival, your own stupid petty problems will drag you down eventually. If that's the message you're going for, mission accomplished movie. I don't think that's going to send anybody out of the theater singing and dancing, but, oh boy, I'm sorry. No, just no.
It is interesting to note that one of the people in this Trash Fest actually went on to become a bigger, better person. Edward Wayne, as he was billed in this movie, W-A-I-N, the lawyer, later killed by Harold, who played Martin. His real name is Robert Towne. You may know that name. He is an Academy Award-winning screenwriter. He won an Academy Award for his script for Chinatown in 1974.
Yep.
And he's also done a lot of directing and stuff. This was one of his earliest ventures.
Yeah, so I guess...
and Anthony Carbone also starred in another Corman Puerto Rico Trilogy movie, which we'll probably get to eventually, Creature from the Haunted Sea.
Ugh.
And the third one in the trilogy, which I've never seen,
Me neither.
Battle of Blood Island. They were all shot back-to-back in Puerto Rico in 1960.
Yeah. This film, Last One on Earth, was shown as on a lot of double bills with The Little Shop of Horrors, which...
Those don't go good together.
Not really, no.
Little Shop of Horrors is like a horror comedy.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, which got shown first?
This is just a comic horror.
This is just, this movie sucks. This movie is so damn bleak. And I'm sorry, just the whole idea that these people, in 2 hours, all the oxygen got sucked off Earth and then all came back.
Well, it all will come back because the plants are still emitting oxygen. And that's one of the things that I have as a big plot hole.
Yeah.
They went into town and everybody was dead.
Right.
If you were living around large trees, which are continually issuing oxygen, couldn't you have stayed alive?
You'd think so.
Yeah. Big plot hole.
Well,
anyway.
What about people who were in hospitals that were on oxygen?
Well, if it was something that literally destroyed oxygen in a second, that would have killed all of them.
But the oxygen would have been in the oxygen would have been in a tank.
Yeah, but I'm saying whatever force it was, just eradicated oxygen no matter what form it was in.
I'm sorry, wouldn't the plants have died in 2 hours?
What?
Let's assume for a minute that whatever happened, like maybe like a comet or something went by and sucked all the oxygen off Earth. But the plants are bringing the oxygen back. Wouldn't the plants have died in those 2 hours?
And how do you figure that?
Never mind. I'm just postulating, I guess.
They should have had no way to get to continue the photosynthesis.
Right. That's
for the first few minutes at least.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Just ridiculous.
It's very
and the whole
scientifically inaccurate.
The whole thing of the film, you can definitely tell what they were going for with this film was, all the apocalyptic stuff, end of the world, blah, blah. That's the backstory. The front story is really the struggles between these three people.
Yeah.
Now, this could actually have been interesting if
the characters had been more likable.
There you go.
None of them were that particularly likable.
And there's the 900-pound gorilla in the middle of the room. Is the fact that what have we brought up before about disaster movies? Because this is a disaster movie. It's a disaster movie. And you don't consider this a disaster movie.
I would not class this as a disaster film.
Okay. Would you grant me it's a science fiction film?
It's definitely a science fiction film with
disaster film
It's apocalyptic overtones.
Okay.
But the disaster, we don't really know what happened. So you can't have a disaster film unless you know what the disaster is. You have something going on, but we don't know what it was. So that makes this more of a fantasy science fiction than it does an actual disaster film. Trust me, I know. I host my own disaster show called Catastrophe Vortex. Anyway.
But the thing that we've talked about in the past when we've talked about disaster films on this podcast is that the one thing that you really need in a disaster film is at least one character that you give a
crap
about.
Yeah.
And this movie does not have one.
You want to see us talk about that, go back and listen to Avalanche.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry. I mean, Eve is semi-likable. Evelyn's not a bad person.
No.
She's very cynical because she's been in a relationship with a man she doesn't love, and now she's stuck in this situation with him and the other guy basically in a beep measuring contest, while the world is literally dead all around them.
Yeah. At least you don't have to suffer for too long. It's barely 71 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. But boy, you feel every one of those 71 minutes. Oh boy, howdy do you feel them.
How do you categorize this one?
The category that this film is going to be going in is directorial disaster. There are just certain directors when you see their name, when they're, even if they might not even be the director, but I'm just putting them in director as well. The producer, they're whatever. Just you see their name involved with the film and you go, oh no. And this is one of those. And I'm making it sound like I hate Roger Corman. I don't hate him. He's done some interesting stuff. He's done some weirdly, wonderfully wacky stuff. This ain't one of them.
No.
This is not one of them at all. So that's the category this goes in.
I just looked at that too. Robert Towne wrote this movie too. Mm-hmm. So I figured
he got better.
Yeah, he got way better. He won an Oscar for Chinatown 15 years later.
Forget it, TC.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Forget it, TC. It's Puerto Rico.
Last Woman on Earth, or The Last Woman on Earth, depending on which version you're looking at, is in the public domain. So you can find it practically everywhere on all the free all the free channels. Just type it in on your smart TV and it'll pull up on all those free channels with the obnoxious commercials that play 7 times in a row.
Yeah. But they're free.
And on a lot of DVD sets, you can probably get it on Amazon Prime too.
Yeah.
It's just been nuts. Thank you for being with us throughout the coronavirus stuff. We're continuing this particular format until the end of the summer and giving you all these great bad movies to help put a smile on your face, hopefully, because everybody needs a smile. This is just getting, we're 4.5 going on 5 months into this mess, and it is, some areas are spiking badly again because they opened too soon. Other areas are are doing okay. Massachusetts is lucky. We're doing okay up here. Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, all mostly doing okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll stay that way.
Yep. Just
we hope you're staying okay.
We hope everybody
part
listening.
Of the world you're listening
yeah,
to
we
us
hope
in.
everybody listening to this is safe and keeping safe. Do what you need to do to keep you and your family safe, and everybody else, because we're really all in this together. So, and we want to
this is a true thing. What we're all in together.
Yeah.
It's not going to not hit you. You are affected. This is what gets me about the mask people. Whether you want to believe it or not, your life is already affected by coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So stop being stubborn and wear a mask.
Yeah.
Protect other people and help protect yourself.
Yeah. Because
the number of selfish people that refuse to help themselves
Yeah.
and help others, it's just ridiculous. It really is.
It really is.
It's not that hard a thing to do, and it's not a violation of your rights, Karen.
Yeah.
Really. Anyway.
But we don't want to sit here and scold. We do want to
Too late. I already did.
We don't want to sit here and scold anymore. We would like to send out positive energy and good vibes to people out there. And we hope that our show gives you a little laugh, because we do try and be goofy and fun, because we're just trying to, you see all the stuff that's all bad, negative, worrisome stuff, and we've got our silly little podcast where we're just trying to have fun and bring some cheer. And
we do have a couple other shows out there. We're not at full volume because we're in the midst of this, of not just of the coronavirus, but we're in the midst of some remodeling in our studio. So right now, this show and this show, Ring Around the Rosie, and Tuesday Digidex are pretty much the only ones in full production. And those will be back as we do. Catastrophe Vortex too.
Yeah.
This week we'll have all new episodes of all those, and we will slowly cycle back to our regular Subject Cinema schedule in the fall. Plus, Front Row 5 and 10 is coming back. We have a new Planet Biblica Musica podcast we're going to be doing once a month. We have a lot of other stuff, and we urge you to check them out at all of our websites, and you can do that by looking at the sidebar or checking the show notes and clicking on the various links to our shows and sites.
If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm PlatinumRoseAl at Twitter.com.
I'm at eCinema1, eCinema Boston, and TKR Online, depending on what you're looking for. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Pass this word around and get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions for this show, shoot them our way. You can write to us at subjectcinema at PNRNetworks.com. Until our next captive audience theater, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
TTFN.
Bye.
You've been listening to Subject Cinema Presents Captive Audience Theater with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham. Produced by PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts.
years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com